Wow, come on. Really? Isn't it the one that I played on my shorts?
Believe this, but gravity, it's the biggest magic trick you never questioned. They told you an invisible force pulls everything down. But somehow planes fly, helium floats, butterflies dance in the air, and oceans, millions of tons of water, magically cling to a spinning ball at 1,000 miles per hour. They say gravity holds skyscrapers upside down in Australia, yet a balloon escapes its grip like it owes nothing. Think about this. If gravity pulls us down, what's pulling the clouds up? What's lifting smoke or birds soaring without falling? And if gravity is so precise, why doesn't it crush ants or flatten humans? They say the Earth spins at insane speeds, orbiting the sun while flying through space at over 1,000,000 miles a day. But you feel nothing. Not a single breeze, not a single tilt, just stillness. You drop an apple and say, that's gravity. But did you question what really made it fall? Or did you just repeat what the system fed you? Now listen closely. What if what pulls things down isn't a force from the center of a spinning ball, but something far simpler? Density and buoyancy. Heavy things sink, light things rise, period. A feather floats, a brick drops, water finds its level every time. No need for imaginary forces or spinning space marbles. On a flat, motionless plane, this makes perfect sense. Up is up, down is down, not toward the core, but toward the ground, always. Still think gravity is real? Then explain this. If gravity is holding oceans to the globe, why doesn't it stop a butterfly from taking off? Why do engineers never calculate gravity when building bridges, tunnels, or railroads? Why do they design everything assuming a level Earth, not a curved one? You've never seen curvature. You've never felt motion. You've never experienced gravity. You've just been told it's real. Even NASA admits gravity isn't a force. It's a theory. A math trick, a story you believed without ever testing it yourself. And here's the kick.
Okay. We're going to do a Skeptical Sunday. I just got back from our barbecue. It's people who we've lived next to since the 1950s. So it's like multiple generations of friends kind of thing. But, and well, I don't know if they're friends or relatives of these people, but they were there too. I just sat there in the corner and then had a hamburger and some salads. So Mikey Smith's at the fair. This is a long weekend in Canada, in Saskatoon, in Saskatchewan. I think it's Saskatchewan Day. Here in New Brunswick, it's New Brunswick Day. Actually, a couple of the people who were at the barbecue are from Alberta, which is just west of Mikey, and they're going to kill me if I mention that. But so Mikey's at the fair. He's watching a video that has all these flat Earth claims, such as density and buoyancy is the real force. There's no such thing as gravity. But okay, we'll watch Mikey for a while. And then I think I want to go through some Flatzoid stuff. Flatzoid's another flat earther. He's from South Africa, so we'll do them. So we'll go over that and maybe some other stuff. But we'll just see what happens with Mikey first.
When you were a kid, it didn't even make sense. You just learned to stop asking questions. So now ask yourself, if gravity isn't real, what else did they fake? What if the Earth isn't spinning? Or a globe at all? What if you've been lied to since birth? This isn't about science, it's about control. Because once you wake up to this one lie, the whole system starts to crumble. Don't just scroll.
This is what a lot of conspiracy theorists are thinking, is that if they figure out this one thing, then everything else in the world wouldn't make sense. And I wonder if anybody's watching or if the sound's coming through. It should be, because I haven't changed my sound since earlier today. Oh, okay. So, just to double check something here. Okay, we'll keep going anyway. Need the practice and need the hours.
Roll. Investigate. Question. Watch the sky. drop a ball. Test the truth. And whatever you do, never blindly believe what they told you in school, because the real force is your mind waking up. This video is for entertainment purposes. You want...
The reason why they put this video is for entertainment reason is for legal reasons around Google search algorithms and stuff. It's not really for entertainment purposes. They're just trying to get away around certain rules.
DG New Moon, good to see you there, brother. Hope things are going fantastic. Zoom in an object using telescope, your arch equipment, and just you guys, like, again, what about volcanoes? What about volcanoes? You're just a high school dropout. Again, making that comment, does that make it a globe? 33. Does that make it a globe now that you made that statement? Again, there's no globe proof in that statement. Just a high school dropout. Does that mean that there's curvature now? Does that mean planes fly upside down? I'm trying to catch on to your logic here, even though there is none.
Okay, Colin is saying he's a high school dropout has nothing to do with whether or not the Earth is a globe, but it doesn't mean the Earth is not a globe, and planes don't fly upside down. I think what they think is when planes go to South America, because they think all gravity just goes straight down. They go straight down, that the planes kind of flip over upside down because there's some kind of gravity down here, and they fly upside down and in the southern hemisphere, but they fly right side up relative to the Earth. But yeah, saying you're a high school dropout doesn't. So there's some people who drop out of high school for various reasons. There are some emotional reasons. There's maybe financial reasons. There may be other reasons. Just because somebody drops out in school at an early age doesn't mean they're not smart. There's
again. Did you listen to the video I just played? Up is up and down is down. Not to the flat earthers, there isn't. They think down is south, up is north. I'm gonna go upstate. I'm gonna go down to Antarctica. G'day, sir.
That's just
yeah.
Speech conventions.
Oops, wrong window. I got a lot of questions and nobody's gonna answer them, so
ask one.
Okay, where is their curvature? Where do we see it? How do planes fly upside down on a globe? How does water bend?
Okay. One question for you.
Yeah.
There's many oceans.
Yeah, which are level. Yeah.
No, they're not.
You see level, yeah.
The thing is, why do the currents all go different ways?
That's a good question. Probably because of the wind. I don't know.
No. We're spinning.
We are? I mean, how come you're not falling over then? How come there's not wind 24 hours a day? If we're spinning, if we fly to Toronto, we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, okay? East. How do we get to Toronto only flying 400 or 500 miles an hour? I'll drive.
It's relative to the motion of the Earth. So the airplanes travel 400 or 500 miles an hour relative to the motion of the Earth. And yeah, it's like a lot of flat Earth stuff. This gets a little repetitive.
You can
have
run.
you been in outer space?
Space doesn't exist. Sorry.
Yes, it does.
No. You want to see something? There's a firmament above us. You want to know what Venus looks like? That's Venus. I recorded that the other morning. Planets don't exist. There's a firmament above us, and I've recorded that too. And I'm actually, as of right now, suing Canadian Space Agency for conspiring a story about space.
Good luck.
I don't need luck. They do. They've been lying since 1989.
Then why did my friend go out to outer space?
Prove it. Prove that he did that. How did he go there? It doesn't exist. There is a firmament above us. There is a dome above us. There is no depth to the stars. They're all at the same level.
Okay. We're flat. Why isn't there 24-hour sun?
Because the sun's close. When you go to your house, you turn on your kitchen light. Does it illuminate your house? You can go down to the basement. You shouldn't have to turn on your lights. Because the sun is close. The sun's up here. If the sun was 100 on the map there, if it was above my car, like 20 feet above my car, yeah, it would illuminate it. But what if the sun is right here? And it rotates around us, just like we see with our own two eyes.
As I said, I'd like to see the astronaut jump in the car with Mikey.
Venus and Mars can be seen at Venus and Mercury. You can see them in the night sky. They're on the inner orbit. Remember, we're going around the sun. Why is the sun going around us? We're not spinning. It's called sea level for a reason. Because it's level.
Better get back to my card readings.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah,
so in
this is the star.
So God doesn't exist.
Oh, of course he does. The Creator does.
Nope.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? You think evolution is a thing?
And you say there's no stars.
There are stars. They're in the firmament. This is the star Sirius. I've recorded that. That's mine. That's a real star. Sirius Satellite Radio, that's their logo, is the Sirius star. Open the eyes and the mind.
All right.
Take it easy, brother.
And yes, I do think that was faked.
Exactly. Because it's not a rock, it's a light. Think about it while you're sitting there. Just think about it.
Then why can we see it?
Because it's close. It's not 240,000 miles away, I can tell you that much.
No, one of my buddies, he actually, it wasn't published, but he actually went up in a rocket.
Yeah, only too far. You can only go so high. That's why they arc, because they can't go straight up. They'll hit the barrier at like 675 miles.
They arc because they want to get into orbit around the Earth, and the Earth is round, and you have to change your direction.
We're in a pressurized system, man. Do you know how that works? Vacuum? Space is supposed to be a vacuum. Where's the solid container between us and the vacuum? Because you need a solid container. If you're vacuuming your kitchen and you puncture the hole in your hose, the air's going to equalize. You're going to lose pressure. Think about it. It's simple. We've been all brainwashed, man.
But the vacuum doesn't have enough gravity.
And I'm
to
not
keep
suing
the
them
stuff
just
in.
for like a measly $100,000. It's going to be millions and millions of dollars. And they're going to lose.
When is this going to happen?
I don't know. Whenever they contact me in the next month. Think about it, man.
Another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
The Burj Khalifa building
Yeah, which one's that now?
in United Arab Emirates, UAE.
Like the big tall
The
one?
tallest building in the world.
Yeah, and you can go to the top of that and you won't see curvature. Or an airplane. The horizon will come to your eye level no matter how high you go. There's no curvature anywhere.
Then why does the sun set as you go further up?
Because it goes further away. Just like the telephone poles, they keep getting shorter and far distance. It's due to perspective. It's not going down. It should go down now if it's going down. It's just going further that way. And you're going to circle around and come around to the northeast.
All right.
Just think about it, man. Steve. Again, Steve. What does that mean? Is it a globe? There's no globe proof in that statement. You need to tell me where I'm wrong. You're brainless. I'm serious. It's made out of baby food. I destroy these people. They're like, and then they're like, I show them my stuff and they're like, oh, I don't know what to say now. Oh, the DJ sent me. What am I doing here? Only make it good. Share, yes. Okay, I'm sharing this video to you. I guess I added data to my Google because I was running out of space. So now I have to always confirm something with people. But yeah, DJ, if you're still watching there, buddy, I sent you the video now. I think you should have access to it. You shared this file, it says so. Okay, well, we had a good conversation there, at least a half decent one. He does card reading or something? I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Now it says what is this? DJ, did you get access to that video that I just sent you, buddy? Crystal, who's Crystal? Hey, Crystal. I'm sorry, I don't understand your Australian lingo. Probably. I'm making the visual lyrics video right now. Okay. Yeah, but you have access to that video? Cool. Okay, as long as you got access to it. I got it. Oh yeah, did Crystal respond? Oh, stylish. Oh, smooth and stylish. Okay. I'm sitting in my vacuum chamber. I'm sitting in my vacuum chamber right now. Yeah, who cares? Okay, I think we should go to the park. Do some advertising there. Oh, yeah. Here, just take this and take a few minutes to read it. Just take some time to read it, man. Nothing but
one more thing.
Yeah.
Does the Earth have a molten core?
No, there's no core.
Then why do we have volcanoes?
Okay, if we did have a core, why aren't the bottom of the oceans hot?
Pressure.
No, it's because there's a lot of
molten core there. Shouldn't the bottom of the oceans be warm?
The rocks between the molten core and the bottom of the oceans insulating the bottom of the ocean. Plus, also there's vents from the core into the ocean, and there's life living around these vents called extremophiles, which use the chemicals from the Earth's core to live.
It's close to the core.
And what's the deepest part of the Earth?
We've only dug 8 miles. So no, there's the call it hole in Russia or wherever, the straight hole, just like a, I don't even know what the diameter was, 12 inches, 16 inches, but the straight hole, 8 inches. I mean, 8 miles down. And that's as far as we've gone. So how do we know what's below that? Why do you assume there's a core?
Why do we have volcanoes then?
That's the blood of the Earth. I don't know. But it's not going like this. When have you ever seen the Earth go like this, other than in your mind or on TV or in a movie?
It's just too big for you to see.
The horizon is horizontal. That's why we call it the horizon.
Then why do we get meteorites?
again, what you're assuming they're meteorites because the so-called space agencies are telling you that. You're just,
The rocks
you're
are
just,
falling out of
I
the sky.
shit bricks. So you're gonna tell everybody I shit bricks when I have no proof? Like seriously.
But we have proof.
Nobody thinks. They just, oh well, this guy said this because he's wearing a white lab coat, so it must be real.
Not all scientists
I
wear
have
the white
space
lab coats.
catalogs that have no real pictures of Earth from space. There are none. Go on your phone and look on Google. Pictures of Earth from space. They're all just CGI computer generated. There's not one real photo of Earth from space. Not one. I'll buy you a new house if you can show me one. Literally. We'll go sign the contract right now. That's how confident I am. And I'm not joking. Like, we've been all brainwashed, man. I'm trying to wake people up. Do you trust the government? And you'll say no. Do you like paying taxes? No. Well, why do you do it then? We should all just stop paying taxes.
The taxes should have stopped after World War.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard older people tell me that, yeah. But they didn't. But yet people still like paying them for some reason. I'm trying to...
The Rockefellers owned the earth.
Yeah, exactly. I know that.
I don't know if this guy's playing with
You're
them
a
or not.
thinker. You just keep going. Yeah. Seriously. It's everything. I could sit here all day and tell you facts. I've got a whole carload here of facts. It's crazy. Think about how water works, okay? So, I think there's only like a few inches difference between the Mississippi, which runs for the Amazon, whatever that long river is. There's like literally no difference in thousands of miles. There should be like thousands of feet of curve. I don't know how you're going to get water to go down a ball and go up. Some water flows north too, you know. We're at a higher elevation than Saskatoon, you know. So people would say, well, I'm going up to Saskatoon, when you're not. You're going down to Saskatoon because they're lower elevation. I'm from Assiniboia. I would never say I'm going down to Assiniboia. I'm at 150 I'm at 750.
It goes downhill. You can have hills on top of the curvature, and the water flows downhill on top of the curvature.
50 meters above sea level. You're only at like 500 and some here. So again, what do you mean by going down? I don't know. I go down a hill, down a slide, you know, but I don't go down over a curvature anywhere.
Tell you what, I'll send you have an email in here, hey?
I do. Here, I'll give you this too. This has my email. It might prove me wrong. What's this number here? That's Brian's phone number. Whoever Brian is. I'll give you this one. Prove me wrong paper. It has my email at the bottom. Somewhere. Yeah, right at the bottom there. You can look at that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, email me any questions. I can send you some links and just everything. I got my YouTube channel's on the bottom of that other pamphlet there.
Yeah.
Just look into it, man. Just take your time and question things, man. I'm telling you, we've been lied to like there's no tomorrow. Look at this. This is from 20 miles up. Where's the curve? This is real picture. Yeah, show me the curve or shut up. Like that's thousands and thousands of miles there, man. No curve. Fisheye lens, GoPro, it all curves horizontal lines. When you go to a hotel, you look out through the peephole, the wall goes like this. You step outside, it's just flat. Think, man. See, I'm twisting some gears in there. Think.
No. No.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you'll be questioning things. Yeah, I know he's a thinker. He's a smart guy, but I just gotta give him a little few pokes. Yeah, it'll probably be getting, I don't know, it's just not busy here. Lots of people reading the car. I don't even have to do anything. This whole city almost knows who I am. Or have heard of me. I should plug my phone in. We'll check out the park, see what's I can. Why can't I park right here? Do I have to pay here? I don't know if this is a good place or not. Yeah, Roger Ledwell, later. Yeah, they always go down. Yeah, very, very slow around here. I think we'll go to the park, see what happens there, and he looks like he's thinking. He was denying. He was like, no, I'm not thinking. Well, it sure looks like you are. You can see his eyes kind of squint a little bit, or, you know, the body language so told me that. So this is where we usually sit for the game, guys. We usually sit just right over here behind this fence over there. That's where we usually sit, so you kind of get a different perspective of where we are over here and stuff. But yeah, we'll keep it rolling. We'll see what happens at the park. Man, you know, I need like to rent a building to set up all my stuff I got in the car here. I could put on a flat earth class for like weeks at a time, and people could pay me $20 just to come in and be educated. Oh, there's a Lamborghini, whatchamacallit, SUV, whatchamacallit, what is that thing called? A Lamborghini, just lost my mind there. Again, rent a building with what? What do you mean? I don't get that. Rent a room. Like, people, when you think I'm so, like, they're just not expanding their minds. A building, a room, a hotel room, a conference room, whatever, the fucking washroom, a toilet, I don't care. Somewhere where I can set up signs. You're not thinking. You're not expanding your minds. Ugh, he's gonna rent a building? Holy cow! What money that's gonna cost you millions of dollars to rent a building? Again, I'm not sure how you guys wipe your ass. I'm just not sure. I'm really serious about that, guys. I'm really scared for you guys, because I'm not sure. Do you have like slip-on shoes? Because I don't even think you can tie your own shoes. I'm not sure about that, but we'll have to see what happens in a while. Maybe you might learn how to do it after a few years from now. I don't know. You're gonna rent a building? Oh, people. It's not hard to think. Oh. Lamborghini Urus. Yeah, that's what it was. Lamborghini Uranus. Yeah, like there's this perfect place. It's like, how big would it be? Like, it's like a small, it's like a small brick building in the town where I live. And I think you can probably rent it for like $150 maybe for the day, or $100. I don't know. It's not much. And just the perfect size, like the size of like the inside of a 7-Eleven type of thing. You know, that's all I need. You're gonna rent a building? Yeah, I am, eh? Woo! Because I got lots of money. Oh, I don't. If I say I can run 100 miles an hour, don't take that literally, okay? It means I can run fast. Not that I can, but I'm using that as an example. Oh, you can run 100 miles an hour? Yeah. Go smoke some more weed. Holy cow. All right, we'll mosey on to the park. We could check the pool area again because there's always people there. Maybe we'll set up shop there. That's my quote for the day when I'm talking to myself at home. You can rent a building? You're gonna rent a building? Yeah, you betcha I am. You bet your ass. Oh, we got a trimmer on the left. Does he have the extra 702 package? Nope, he doesn't. Because it's $11,000 more. So we're coming up to the big pool, outdoor pool, water parkish kind of thing. Maybe we'll find a half-decent parking spot. I'll have to use the washroom at some point here. Maybe I'll... Oh, this is nice. Damn, I need to use the washroom first. Hey! It's always these out-of-town folks, man. Oh, I could so park that. Okay, ooh, that's a big truck. Thanks. Okay. Just give me a second to use the washroom, yeah.
We're gonna go to a different window. Try. Hey guys, he's not gonna do much for a while. Okay. Another thing we could talk about. This Sabine. What's her full name? There's a bit of an issue with science communicator. She's actually pretty good most of the time, but when she starts talking about a certain area of science, she gets herself in trouble. HossenFelder. Excuse me. Okay. So, she's a German particle physicist, or she has some experience in the field, and then she became a science communicator, and she really has issues with a lot of particle physics and subatomic physics in this area. She has problems with people doing the research and trying to promote another idea. Let's go into her channel and we'll so I'm trying to find one of these videos. And she's trying to promote a theory that, okay, I'm not an expert in particle physics or subatomic physics or any of those areas. So, but she's trying to promote another guy, and her main argument is, well, it's cheaper because they all spent billions and billions of dollars doing research in this area, and it actually has produced results. Versus this other guy named Eric Weinstein, who hasn't really produced much results or haven't figured out much of the math in his own theory. So let's skip back.
This is going to be awkward. Okay, I want to talk about Eric Weinstein because people keep asking me to talk about Eric Weinstein. And I think it's somewhat insulting, really. They should be asking him to talk about me. More seriously, I watched this recent episode of Eric and Sean Carroll on Piers Morgan and read the comments from all those who piled on afterwards. And boy, was this ugly. I can't believe the fucking hypocrisy of these people. So that's why I finally want to talk about Eric. I've known Eric for almost 20 years. He's a good guy. If you take away one thing from this video, let it be that Sabine said Eric's a good and fairly normal person, in contrast to a lot of others who think it's okay to shit on people they know nothing about. I've seen an enormous amount of hate thrown at Eric that he doesn't deserve. In case you managed to miss Carolgate, I don't want you to get away with it, so let me fill you in. Eric has a theory of everything, like all other people I know. His is called geometric unity. He's been talking about this already 20 years ago. It's his life's work, basically. In 2021, he wrote up some notes about it. Physicists were not particularly impressed. I never looked into this in any detail because I'm not interested in unification ideas and I think it's a waste of time. I don't see why the fundamental forces of nature have to be unified, and I have no idea why so many people are obsessed with this, but I want to try and...
Unification is trying to unify gravity, electromagnetic, the weak, and the strong force. The electromagnetic and weak, I think, were the first two united, and the strong force was the next. It's just trying to unite it with gravity. That's the problem, because the other three are ruled by quantum physics, and quantum physics is basically ruled by probabilities, the chances of something happen, not the absolute of something happen. Gravity, plus it's all underneath, it's all in the atomic scale or smaller. Gravity deals with everything basically larger and everything and the mass of stuff, so nobody knows how to unify it. Unifying it could lead to a lot of new discoveries. That's why they're trying to unify. So that's why people are interested in unification theories.
Give you a brief idea what this is all about. The standard model of particle physics is based on symmetries, and these symmetries are defined by groups. The ones for the standard model are called U1, SU2, and SU3. Don't worry if you don't know what this is or how it works. The only thing that matters is that 1, 2, and 3 are fairly small numbers. Now, what you can do is you can look for a bigger group.
About 22 days ago, I started using the Japanese pink salt recipe, but I had to stop because I was losing weight way too fast. Just look at how slim my face is now. And the one who helped me was Dr. Now. Watch the video he sent me right after that.
I have a feeling
One
that's
with
a
a bigger
deepfake.
number, basically, and try to find the standard model in this group. If you manage to do this, you have a candidate.
Okay, I don't know much about the standard theory or the standard model, but basically, yeah, but I'll let her go.
For a unified theory. The problem is there are infinitely many groups, and almost all of them contain the standard model groups. Consequently, physicists have proposed thousands of these unified theories. Since these large groups usually contain more than just the standard model, unified theories all predict new particles.
Oh.
And then you have to come up with some reason for why we haven't seen these new particles, or postulate that they make up dark matter and the usual
Why is
stuff
it-
that hasn't worked since the 1980s. This hopefully explains why I'm unexcited about yet another unified something. We have too many of those already, it hasn't worked for 40 years, and there's no evidence supporting any of this. Eric sees this differently. He thinks that no one has yet done it the right way, which is possible, and if this is how he wants to spend his life, that's fine with me. I won't attempt to explain exactly what Eric's doing, I'll just try to give you my stupid girl summary. Einstein's theories work with a four-dimensional space-time. The space-time's described by what's called the metric tensor that measures the relations between directions. So the metric tensor has 4 times 4 equals 16 entries. But it's a metric, so only 10 of those entries are different. You can just ignore all the words that you didn't understand. The number 10 is the relevant part. It just so happens that one of the first and probably most studied groups for unification is SO10, and that also has a 10 in it. So Eric postulates that these two 10s are somehow related. Basically, he doubles the gravitational part of Einstein's theory and takes the one version to be the generator of this group that gives you something like SO10. Devil's in the details. By this I mean that, in all fairness, Eric's idea is a bit sketchy. But honestly, I don't doubt that with some effort you can somehow make the maths work out. So this is roughly what Eric's working on, I believe. It's all fairly unremarkable, really. The mathematics is pretty close to what physicists are using already, and it's totally in line with all the other nonsense that physicists in the foundations now work on. But for reasons I don't quite understand. A lot of people find this all very interesting, which is how Eric ended up on Piers Morgan with Sean Carroll. And this happened.
The good news is I have read Eric's paper. Here it is. I actually have it here, right here. And it's worse than you would think. You know, it's not serious. It's not dog ate my homework kind of.
The guy on the left is Sean Carroll. He's I believe, a particle physicist. Plus, he's also a science communicator and written several books on science. I don't think I've actually read any of his books.
If you have a dark matter thing, if you have a dark matter prediction, if you have a dark energy prediction, I want to see a plot in the paper. I want to see redshift versus distance. I want to see a calculation of a relic abundance so I can figure out how much dark matter is supposed to be. If you do that, people will pay attention to the theory. It's very possible.
Sean, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, if you're going to go by the standards of the no, Sean, how dare you cast shade and aspersions of the kind that I wouldn't seek to cast on you, but I will now.
Okay.
I'm not seeking your favor, nor do I need to seek your approval. As you know, you failed to gain tenure.
I think one has to give credits to Sean that he agreed to do this, because the vast majority of physicists would have chickened out. And honestly, Sean did a pretty good job. Yes, Eric's work is far from complete. Yes, he doesn't have a Lagrangian, and he hasn't actually solved any problem, and he hasn't explained how anomaly cancellation works, and other than some hand-wavy, there ought to be new particles somewhere, he doesn't have tangible predictions. But then, Eric's only one person who wrote up some notes. If he had wasted some millions of tax money on hiring postdocs and writing papers about it, then he could have easily papered over these shortcomings, just like everyone else in that area. And this is why this pisses me off so much. Sean totally knows that most of his colleagues work on similarly flaky stuff. It's just been covered up by more working hours. The literature's full of papers without proper predictions, without Lagrangians, ill-defined operators, or problems that will be solved in some future work that never comes. Sean knows that. Everyone in the damn field knows that. But normally, no one's saying anything about it, because they're all tied up in the same scam. Unless the person who comes up with the idea is Eric Weinstein, in which case it's suddenly hugely offensive and everyone starts yelling. Well, Sean, why don't you talk for a little bit about all these supposed ADS-CFD predictions for condensed matter, this or that, which were supposed to revolutionize superconductivity? Whatever happened to that? And just exactly how is string...
As I said, I'm not into that much into particle physics, so but yeah, Sabine does have a bit of a chip on her shoulder. Maybe we'll go through some more old videos of it later.
theory define anyway? Did they actually ever solve the problem of quantum gravity? Like, did they ever prove it's finite? What Calabi-Yau manifold are we talking about again? Or how about loop quantum gravity? Do they have a well-defined Hamiltonian? Where is the classical limit? And
okay, there's two theories of trying to unify the two. There's string theory, which everything is basically every subatomic particle is a string, and if you can adjust the vibration of the string, like changing a note on a piano or a guitar, you'd have a new particle, which this requires energy. Or you have loop quantum gravity, and everything in the universe is basically, I think, a bunch of what they called it goes back to there's a quality called spin, and it's not okay. It's not what you think of. It's not how fast it's spinning. It's how many rotations it takes to get back to looking at the same view of the particle. So two spin takes half of a spin, and like a particle with one half spin takes like 2 rotations. But the thing with the loop quantum gravity is the entire universe is made out of these particles with the two spin in the background, and they loop together to create gravity.
These are areas in which thousands of people have spent decades and billions of dollars. Why aren't you talking about this rather than crapping on Eric, who's one single person and at least trying to do something new? They say that they want people to think outside the box, but if someone actually does it, they're like, nah, not this way. You don't talk like us, you don't walk like us, we don't like the people you play with, therefore we'll not look at your ideas. This is the sorry state of theoretical physics now. And then you get all these people piling onto each hate parade. The groupthink is so thick, like they all think it's fine to hate on Eric because they expect their colleagues to cheer on them for doing so. And those who think that maybe Eric's idea isn't so bad, keep their mouth shut. Like with this recent episode about Perimeter Institute. In his Morgan appearance, Eric said vaguely he's been visiting some physics institute and giving a talk. Someone leaked later that this was Perimeter Institute and spread a rumor that they didn't want to be associated with him and that they made a deal that Eric would donate money in return. This is all bullshit, and if they'd stopped and thought for a second, they'd have known it's bullshit. This just isn't how seminar invitations work. Also, let me tell you,
the Perimeter Institute, I think, is in the University of Toronto. It's like a sub-department of the physics department. It's probably similar to the Institute of Advanced Physics in Princeton in the States.
that when I give talks, I frequently do not mention publicly where I'm going for reasons. I also knew that Eric's been giving a bunch of physics lectures in the past years about which you find nothing online, presumably also for reasons. The story from Perimeter Institute is, to my understanding, that the person who invited him feared for their career. This tells you how sick this entire community is, that people are afraid to do as much as express interest in a new theory. Then there's Brian Keating, who deserves credit for not chickening out and for standing with Eric.
There shouldn't be problems if somebody is looking over somebody else's paper to see if there's any new ideas in the paper. But if there's nothing in the paper that's worth doing, that and they're still investigating it, then there may be issues. But if it's just, I'm going to take a look at your paper, I don't see any problem with that. But there's office politics and stuff too probably involved.
Eric, even though that made people crap on Brian too. Then there's Kurt Jaimungo, who courageously published a very long video about Eric's theory and also interviewed Eric, which led to this following exchange.
I haven't seen such novel ideas from a single person, ever. And I don't know if anyone else will tell you this, but what you've done is remarkable, man.
I don't even know how to be with that, to be honest. Look, thank you.
And again, I saw people jump on Kurt and criticizing him just for talking to Eric. But Kurt is right. It's remarkable. Eric's ideas as remarkable as the ideas of thousands of other people, each of whom has spent years and years of their life on it and whom you've never heard anything about. In any case, I think what's really happening here is that a lot of people who work in the foundations of physics are very afraid that Eric is exposing how rotten their entire field is. This is why they're trying hard to discredit him. But the truth is that Eric's idea isn't any better or worse than all the other crap they're working on. The only difference is that he hasn't wasted as much of your tax money on it. That's it for today. No, there's no sponsor on this video because I don't want to be accused of monetizing a friendship, but please check out.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Mikey for a bit and see what he's up to now. And I know shouldn't be jumping back and forth between two different things, but we'll just keep an eye on both. We'll go back to Mikey, keep an eye on what's going on.
Stream mode. Only in quotes on YouTube.
Okay. He has an issue with his cell phone. We think it's just the selfie cam that flips everything around, but he thinks it's YouTube flipping everything around on him. So he goes into this rant. He went into the rant about an hour ago. So it's a quite often occurrence. So we'll zip ahead and see what he's up to. Oh, one of his pictures.
Stop masturbating with your P1000s and put them away when recording the one.
Yeah, there's language with dealing with him and with Sabine.
Green stars and the other stars. So there you go.
I guess nobody's interested, but we'll keep going.
So yeah, and there is no twinkle like the star Sirius. The star Sirius was twinkling. So I can show you that video too.
The twinkling is because of air in our atmosphere. It's just different densities pass in front of the sun, star in front of a star, and causes it to twinkle.
For those of you who don't check out my videos. So as you can see, here the star is twinkling. The wandering stars, I'm assuming, don't twinkle like the star Sirius.
That's just due to air.
So the
sorry to sound a bit
so-called
snarky.
Planets do not have the intensity to make them twinkle or vibrate, or what was the word? Somebody gave me a great explanation the other day, which I should keep using.
Who's that? Who's that?
It's a quality we call seeing in astronomy.
It's not being stretched out. Show me the curve or shut up. Guess I should show it to you this way so it's not reversed. Show me the curve or shut up.
Okay, I'm gonna go back find a Sabine video. Okay, before we go back to this while we're looking up a Sabine video, she's getting into a bit of a fight with a guy named Professor Dave, or Dave Farina. That's well, I was watching. He did a number of interviews with the particle physicists, and it's on his channel. Professor Dave Explains. I wish I thought of that title, but he did teach at universities in California, so he does know. So he can use the title Professor Dave. Okay, let's see. We go back. Oh, we'll watch this one. I don't think it has anything to do with what we're talking about, but we'll see it.
Hey, I'm saving big with TD Insurance for being a claims-free hybrid driving university grad.
What? So you want to become a physicist, should you? And if you do, what can you expect? A lot of young people have asked for my advice about whether they should pursue a career in physics, and if so, in which field, seeing how critical I've been about much of what's going on. The issue is, I don't like giving career advice to people I don't know, because really I think career decisions are very personal. But then I thought there are some general things that I can say, so here we go. First of all, what even is physics? When people think about physics, they often think about the foundations of physics, stuff like dark matter, quantum gravity, bigger particle colliders, and so on, because that's what's in the headlines the most. But actually, most physicists work on much more, shall we say, grounded stuff. The biggest research area in physics is probably condensed matter physics, which you rarely hear about. That's everything from superconductors to semiconductors to liquid crystals. It's close to material science. Then there's fluid dynamics, statistical mechanics, plasmas, optics and quantum optics, atomic and nuclear physics, and so on. And what do you do in these areas?
Forgot astrophysics in there, but yeah, there's all different kinds of branches of physics. You do have like astrophysics, and then you have, as she said, condensed matter physics, optics, and all these other subfields. So there's plenty of different areas to go into physics.
I think it can be summarized as analyzing, modeling, understanding, and also creating both theories and devices. I'd say that physics generally sits between engineering and maths. Second, it's worth saying that being a physicist is in many regards a job like any other. You learn how to do it, then you do it. It's not like you wake up one day and know what dark matter is and then you win a Nobel Prize. It's not how it works. There are a lot of techniques and methodologies that you need to learn. There's a lot of background knowledge, and a lot of it is learning by doing, both in experiment and in theory.
Okay, before she goes too further, there's actually two more major branches that I don't know how they go into each subcategory, or if they're kind of before, but there is what they call theoretical physicist. Have you ever watched Big Bang Theory, the show? I know some people don't like it, but Sheldon Cooper is a theoretical physicist. He deals with maths, and a lot of the stuff he comes up with probably won't be able to be tested for 5 to 6 or 20 years, depending on how far ahead he is. And he's a string physicist in the beginning. Okay. And then you have experimental physicist. Leonard's an experimental physicist. He takes all their work and takes it to the lab and try to figure out a way of testing it in the lab. There's also computational physics or computational astrophysics, where they take the theoretical stuff and run it on a computer simulation to see what happens. And all three branches kind of meld together. And also, there in astronomy, we don't have much experimental to do. A lot of it is observational, which is you go out, take pictures, or take spectrum of stuff, and you just constantly you process it to get what's going on in the star, and you compare it to the theoretical and the computational and see if it matches. Okay, I'm not a professional, but that's basically what, there's different branches like that. So, and okay, it is kind of halfway between engineering. Okay, also Raj is the astronomer out of the group, and you have Howard, who's the engineer. But also in the Big Bang Theory, there's an episode where they go to an observatory. They actually, okay, it's a computer bank with monitors, and there's a guy in Hawaii actually using the telescope. There is a setup like this in real life. I think it's in UC Berkeley, because there was a planet hunter, and I'm not mentioning the name. He got into trouble, but they set up a situation like that. But he says, oh, if I see a dip in the image, it automatically means there's a planet. Here's the thing. You don't see it right away. You have to actually do analysis and make sure you're not seeing a flaw in the chip or a star spot or anything like that. So you wouldn't be able to see it right away. Just 1 second here. And I need a quick drink. So let her go. Actually,
development. Doing a PhD in physics takes something like 8 to 10 years, depending on country and field. Yes, maybe if you're a genius, you can do it a little faster, but for most people, that's what you're looking at, 8 years or so. That's a significant part of your life, and a lot of people drop out in the first couple of years. Of course, you don't necessarily need to get a PhD. Depending on your aims, a bachelor's or master's degree might be sufficient. What's a PhD even good for? A PhD title demonstrates that you've learned to do your own research, in principle. In practice, it means you've learned to read papers you don't understand, write papers no one reads, and answer reviewer comments that make no sense.
Okay, she has a little bit of, again, chip on her shoulder. But yeah, like, in astrophysics, some people who only get a bachelor's or master's, they run labs. You can have jobs outside of physics. Some people go into working in computers. There's a lot of computers work in physics. So computer programming and knowing how computers work and a lot of that stuff. So you can go and get jobs outside of that. I know of a person who came from the same area I did and got his bachelor's and works in a different province restoring memory. His uncle's my barber. So yeah, there's different things you can do with a degree, or you can go into teaching or whatever.
While forgetting what sunlight feels like. In any case, my point is, if you don't want to go into physics research, you might not need a PhD, though it usually helps with the starting salary. Third, what skills do you need to become a physicist? You need to be good at maths. There's no way around it. Physics is a lot of maths and increasingly also coding. Another skill you desperately need is how to draw all these Greek letters, because if your sigma looks like a 6, that's going to be trouble. Besides that, I'd say the most relevant factor you need is motivation. Your research needs to matter to you. That's because unless you're the one mega brain in a million, it's going to be hard. And you'll need a lot of motivation to get through this. You need the kind of motivation that can survive buggy code, 3 rejected papers, and a supervisor who communicates exclusively in cryptic size, because yes, these things happen. Fourth, what are the job prospects? Statistically, about half of physics PhDs leave academia directly after their PhD, and in the years afterwards that fraction increases somewhat. This is data from the United States, but I think in Europe it's very similar. The unemployment rate among physicists is generally low, somewhat below population average. Again, that's similar in North America and Europe. Among the physicists who stay in academia, the fraction of those who land permanent positions has been decreasing for decades. This isn't specific to physics, but still it's something you need to know. The job prospects in academia are currently miserable. Because of this, pretty much everyone who pursues a career in academia moves countries, usually multiple times after their PhD. It's stressful, unfriendly to private life, and detrimental to mental health.
Okay, after you get your PhD, a lot of people go into what is called a postdoc, and these are like 2 or 3 year positions, and you do have to travel quite a bit to doing these. Yeah, if you do finish your degree, you probably have a low unemployment rate. But okay, I can't say much about that. But yeah, because a lot of the skills that you pick up can be transferred to other positions. So I know this is not much of a reaction video, but it's either this or listen to Mikey, and Mikey just prattles on the same things over and over.
Again, you need to have a good motivation to get through this. I know a lot of physicists who left academia for more secure and better paid positions in the private sector because they wanted to start a family or just keep their sanity. In my case, my husband, who also has a PhD in physics, had the good sense of getting a permanent position in the private sector directly after finishing his thesis. So he's been our safety backup on the occasions that I ran out of research funding. Though I have to say that in hindsight, despite all my worrying and complaining, somehow I've always managed to muddle through. So then just what do physicists do, like for real? Jobs in academia have some diversity, but they're generally a mix of research and teaching. It's rare these days to find positions without teaching duties, and you're most likely to find them at private institutes. Academic positions almost always come with other duties: management and administration, mentoring.
This is what shocked me. This is one thing I didn't like about the Big Bang, is none of the guys actually did any teaching. Like, yeah, I know, it depends on the grant, I guess, but a lot of places you would have to do some teaching either in the classroom, and the size of their classrooms are huge. Okay, maybe it's the universities I went to, but most physics classes had less than 10 people in them. Some of them only had 2 or 3 people in the classroom. But they have these classes where they have advanced string theory courses, and they have dozens of people. So maybe it is those institutions that draw a lot of people in those fields. But that kind of shocked me. And the lack of teaching, because Raj could be teaching an astronomy class. He eventually does do what is called, outreach. Outreach is more important nowadays. And especially like in the States right now, it looks like PBS may be shutting down, so a lot more private outreach methods, like going on to YouTube, is going to be popular for a while. But yeah, you'd have to do some teaching. You'd have to teach a class or a lab or do some marking. And a lot of academics actually like doing that, so. But it just depends on your grant and what you're hired to do.
grant writing and reviewing, organizing workshops, sleeping through faculty meetings, tracking down the person who borrowed the whiteboard marker. You get the picture. If you leave academia, there are many paths to go. I know a lot of physicists who went into banking, investment, insurances. This is a very well-trodden path, and if you open a book on finance maths, you'll probably understand why. It's not a big step to make, and yes, I've seriously thought about it. Another well-trodden path is government advisory or patent offices. Yes, that's still a thing. Then there's teaching and scientific publishing or other work that scientific publishers do, like interactive access to data or similar. Then there's corporate research, and some have their own startups. Currently, there are a lot of physicists going into renewable energies or quantum tech. There's public relations and science communication. I know a physicist who now works for the Weather Service and another one who got into pandemic modeling before that was in vogue. There is even some data. For a while, CERN tracked what happened to particle physicists who work there.
Okay, I just thought of a guy whose career is kind of weird. He got an undergrad in astrophysics, and then at the end he started getting into doing weather research, computer modeling. So I think he went to Denmark or the Netherlands. And while he was there, he saw military training, went into the Canadian military, and became an officer. I think he actually did his training in my province. And then while he was in Afghanistan, got into robotics in the bomb disposal, and then out to Hawaii, where he lives now, doing I think he went to Alberta first, did his robotics research, and then is in Hawaii now. I think he also does something with the people trying to figure out how to live on Mars, like growing plants and stuff. Well, I haven't talked to him directly. He's after this, he'll probably drop me in this Facebook friends. But some people have some weird career choices in astronomy.
And from those who left academia, most ended up as software engineers, followed by analyst, manager, and consultant. So I think this gives you a general sense of what a PhD in physics gets you. It's generally, I'd say, a very versatile education that's good for many things. I've no regrets doing a PhD in physics, though I have regrets about some of the research topics I choose afterwards. But that's another story. Let me know if this is interesting at all, and maybe I'll do another video about good and bad research topics. In summary, studying physics can be tough, but it's an education that's good for many things, and I think that by and large it's worth the pain. Of course, going to university isn't the only way to learn physics. If you're looking for a less formal and considerably more flexible way, I suggest you start with Brilliant. Brilliant offers courses on a large variety of topics in science, computer science, and math.
I'm just going to let Mikey go here for a bit. I've got to do something.
Yes. So, United Nations, okay, they use this as their logo. It's in behind them when they're doing their speeches. And the World Organization Health Place has that as their logo too. Yes, I just can't pronounce it properly right now because it's... Yeah. So again, pilots? You guys are training to be pilots or whatever? Yeah. Where's my plane here? Okay, here we go. fly to Australia, straight lines is the shortest distance, okay?
Not on that.
Yeah, no, shortest line, straightest line is the shortest distance. When you fly from Canada to Australia on a ball, you're doing this. When a plane is like this, you're inverted and you're going to crash.
That's true.
Okay, and no plane has ever flown around your ball underneath Antarctica and come up around.
Have you been to an air show? How can fighter jets group their planes?
That's different. I'm talking about a 737.
But it's 737.
That's true. See?
Powerful.
I can't believe this pilot is giving us money.
Wait. So, how come when it's sunlight for us, it's dark in Australia?
Easy. The sun is close.
Sun like spins like a carousel.
The sun goes like this around
But
it.
if it's flat, there's no like earth like blocking the light.
It's close. Well, when you go into your house, you turn on your porch light. Why doesn't it light up your kitchen?
From very far away.
Why doesn't it light up your kitchen then?
When you're in your dark kitchen, you can still
Look,
see
why
the
does
light
Antarctica
from
not
your...
melt?
Exactly. If you were high enough, you'd probably see the sun go all the way around.
So you're saying we've never been high enough?
So how
Well, I haven't been. Have you? Who's we? Who's we?
We as people. 'cause
People?
there's no-
Yeah, but have you ever been there? Have you ever been to the Antarctica? Neither have I.
So I do have a question. How do you perceive the world differently? Like, how do you think you see this world differently than us?
Well, you all see it as I do. It's just you're being blocked by this cartoon ball of a
What do
globe.
you think is like stopping us from believing the truth?
Maybe your ego? I don't know.
Are you?
Maybe.
Because I don't know, because the educational system and like, you know, every...
Has been developed by the government.
Sphere. So what do you think the government is trying to hide as?
Yeah, why would they-
That you're important and they want to hide where you came from?
What's the use of that?
Control. You wore face diapers on your face for the whole, whatchamacallit.
Did I hit a mute button? Oh. Do a skeptical Sunday. I just got back from... Okay. People who we've lived next to for... I don't need that being played back. Okay, have I been talking without any audio? Nobody's listening anyway. Okay, I can't tell, but I gotta find... Where did I put Sabine? Okay, why am I not hearing anything? I gotta try something, random thing here.
Everyone's talking about the pink salt.
Okay, that's working. I'll go back to more Sabine. For some reason I can't hear Mikey. Okay. Okay, I think this is one of the early Sabine.
When I signed up for studying at the university, I thought being a physicist was my dream job. But here I am on YouTube. How did that happen? I think I owe you an explanation. When I started studying at the university, my expectations were based on biographies of scientists. They wrote a lot of letters to each other. They went to conferences. They were thinkers and tinkerers and had sometimes heated but usually respectful arguments. This is what I expected. Yes, that was hopelessly naive, I know. But in my defense, I don't come from an academic background. I come from a family of teachers and accountants and post office workers. They're normal people. I did an internship in the chemical industry and another one in a bank, gleefully stamping transfer slips. I just didn't know anyone with a PhD. And those were the early 1990s. You couldn't just ask the internet and within a day you'd have 2,000 people giving you advice and some marriage proposals along with that. The first years at university were glorious because for the first time in my life I was in the company of other people who were like me. At school, I had always been the weird one for actually being interested in science and maths. But at the university, everyone was like that. We talked about everything from maths to philosophy, physics, and politics. And yes, alcohol was involved. It was a really good time. And that was all very nice,
sorry,
except
guys.
I was getting
that.
older and
Muted
still
that
didn't have a decent
talking
job.
about the, COVID there. I keep forgetting, guys.
Sorry, Mikey decided to fix his audio.
Made a little money by selling oil paintings. Those were the days, people. But I didn't seriously think I was a particularly good artist. I really had to get a normal job and stop asking my grandma to help out with paying rent. I thought that the Institute of Physics would give me a job when I'd finished my master's degree with good grades. Though technically at the time that was called a diploma. I thought they'd give me a job because that had worked for all the other students previously. If your grades were good, they'd offer you a job as a graduate student. It wasn't particularly great pay, but it was a real job. And that's where things started to go wrong. Because I finished my exams with excellent grades. I don't mean to brag, but I think you need this context. But I wasn't offered a job because I'm a woman. I'm not guessing that that's what happened. I know because they told me. You see, the guy who was head of the institute told me that, since I'm female, I should apply for a scholarship that was exclusively for women in the natural sciences.
Okay, yes, there is some people who are a bit of a throwback to the old days that universities that higher up education's only for men. There's also some people who don't think you should do science communication at all because it encourages people to think they know what science is. And I'm not going to get into that.
Because then the institute wouldn't have to pay for me. Makes sense, doesn't it? So, well, I applied for the scholarship and got it, all right. But these scholarships don't come with any benefits like pension savings and health insurance, and I know they sound very German, but these things matter to us. Also, I was now reminded on various occasions that I wasn't actually employed at the institute. I was just there because I had this scholarship for women, and that was totally true. This, by the way, is why I'm against programs or positions that are exclusively for women. I think that treating women differently just reinforces the prejudice that women are less capable than men. But I digress. All right, you might say, stop whining, at least I did have an income now. Yes, so far so good. At this time I was the only woman at the institute who was not in the administration. The next problem was that the head of the institute made a lot of money selling textbooks. He wrote very little of these textbooks himself. Rather, he gave assignments for parts of the books to students and postdocs, which is why, in case you've ever wondered, these textbooks are so discontinuous and partly repetitive. He expected me to also work for him, to which I said no. I was then ordered into his office, in which he gave me a very angry speech, according to which I wasn't loyal to all the other students who did their part. I told him that I was under no obligation to work for him and didn't care what the rest of the students were thinking. He got angry, I laughed at him, he started shouting that I was fired and physically shoved me out of his office. True story. The irony is that he couldn't fire me because, if you remember, he had refused to hire me in the first place. I was paid by that scholarship for women, and that wasn't managed by the institute, but by the office of the university president. I'm not just telling you this because it's entertaining. It was also a rather rude awakening. It made me realize that this institute wasn't about knowledge discovery. It was about money making. And the more I saw of academia, the more I realized it wasn't just this particular institute and this particular professor.
That is a problem in a lot of institutions. There's also, I can't remember what they call it, but they want you to publish as many papers as possible, so the university gets a lot of academic credit and a lot of prestige and a lot of people coming to the university. But I would have written, if I got that chance, I probably would have written the chapter anyway. It's also getting your name out and getting getting some prestige for yourself. So that's it. I don't know how other textbooks are written, or if the profs do that, or dish it out to different students. But let's listen to her story even a little bit more.
It was generally the case. The moment you put people into big institutions, the goal shifts from knowledge discovery to money making. Here's how this works. If a researcher gets a scholarship or research grant, then the institution gets part of that money. It's called the overhead. Technically, that's meant to pay for offices and equipment and administration, etc. But academic institutions then pay part of their staff from this overhead, so they need to keep that overhead coming. Small scholarships don't make much money, but research grants can be tens of millions of dollars, and the overhead can be anything between 15 and 50%. This is why research institutions exert loads of pressure on researchers to bring in grant money. And partly they do this by keeping the researchers on temporary contracts so that they need grants to get paid themselves, while the administrators who are paid on the overhead usually have permanent positions. But you get used to this kind of crap. And the overhead isn't even the real problem. The real problem is that the easiest way to grow in academia is to pay other people to produce papers on which you, as the grant holder, can put your name. That's how academia works. Grants pay students and postdocs to produce research papers for the grant holder, and those papers are what the supervisor then uses to apply for more grants. The result is a paper production machine in which students and postdocs are burned through to bring in money for the institution. Most of that money comes from your taxes. After my PhD, I applied for another scholarship and got that, and then I got a postdoc job and a grant and another job and another job and another grant and so on. And I began to understand what you...
There is a bit of a problem there, because since you're so focused on just producing papers, you don't have much time to actually think about other on advancements. But the supervisor probably does have a lot of input on the papers, and for you to get a PhD, it is actually for you to discover something new in that field. So that's part of your job. That's part of your degree. So. But the thing is, these institutions are so large that they need to keep popping money into it. I don't know. I also have the feeling that they encourage a lot of people that go to university that shouldn't be at university. Some people say, you should be one, but I want to talk about that a little later, or maybe another time. But I shouldn't, but there's a lot of people that they're there just to party for a year, and these people probably shouldn't be there. They probably should be in like a community college or out working or something like that. And I think a lot of universities use these people to get student loans to pay like the tuition and housing and stuff, so they can pay their bills. But that's just my thoughts on things.
Need to do to get a grant or get hired. You have to work on topics that are mainstream enough, but not too mainstream. You want them to be a little bit edgy, but not too edgy. No, it needs to be something that fits into the existing machinery. And since most grants are 3 years or 5 years at most, it also needs to be something that can be wrapped up quickly. The more I saw of this...
Also about the grant cycle, that most people spend most of their time writing up grant proposals rather than doing research, and that takes out a long time to do it. Maybe there may be a way of streamlining the grant request money, but it's tied up in that bureaucracy of the money, of where they're getting the money from.
The more I realized this wasn't how I wanted to spend my life. The other thing that happened was that the more I saw of the foundations of physics, the more I became convinced that most of the research there wasn't based on sound scientific principles. I know this sounds wild, like I'm the crank next door on YouTube, and maybe that's what I am, but I like to think that my argument was, and still is, very academic. I never intended it to be offensive. I just explained why thinking up new particles isn't a good strategy for progress in physics, and why that had gotten an entire discipline stuck. And naive as I was, I expected physicists to think about it. I expected rational debate. But that never came. No one was interested. No one is interested. They were interested in writing more papers. And that's what they need all these particles and other wild ideas for, to write papers, to get grants, to get postdocs, to write more papers, and round it goes. Meanwhile, I had moved half around the world because that's standard for postdocs. It's just expected of you. And at some point, you just accept the constant moving as normal because the only people you know also do it. It's incredibly hostile to personal life that...
There's a reason that they try to encourage people to move around a lot. It's so you can get a taste of different thoughts at different institutions. You can stay at the same institution to do all your career, but sometimes it's a little frowned down upon. But it's trying to get you exposed to different ideas too, not just the ideas at your home at the institution you started off at.
Detrimental to mental health, and women suffer from it more because our reproductive reality is that we need to start families earlier than men. By my mid-30s, I had somehow miraculously managed to get married and have 2 children, but I couldn't find a job anywhere near my husband. So for several years I commuted from Frankfurt to Stockholm. And yes, those cities are actually in different countries. After 5 years of my murder commute, I just couldn't do it anymore. My mental health was worse than ever. I was permanently stressed out. I was feeling guilty for not working more and not spending more time with my kids. I had several nervous breakdowns. I was constantly ill. I decided I'd go back to Germany and not move out of the country again until the kids were out of school. Instead, I applied for research grants on projects that lasted 1, 2, or 3 years and that could be located in Germany. A lot of water has flown under the bridge since, so let me be honest. At this point, I'd figured out what you need to put into a grant proposal to get the money, and that's what I did. I applied for grants on research projects because it was a way to make money, not because I thought it would leave an impact in the history of science. It's not that what I did was somehow wrong. It was, and still is, totally state of the art. I did what I said I'd do in the proposal. I did the calculation, I wrote the papers, I wrote my reports, and the reports were approved. Normal academic procedure. But I knew it was bullshit, just as most of the work in that area is currently bullshit, and just as most of academic research that your taxes pay for is almost certainly bullshit. The real problem I had, I think, is that I was bad at lying to myself. Of course.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm not, as I said, I'm not an expert in particle physics, so I'm not going to comment about what's bullshit and what's not bullshit. But this is where I see her. She has a chip on her shoulder because she wanted to go in a certain direction and they didn't. Okay, my voice is about to go out. I'm not a normal talker, so I'm going to close it down for a bit. I may come back online later, but this is the beginning of where Sabine, or maybe not the beginning, but this is where I've seen the beginning of her going a little off the rails. Okay, I hope everybody has a good evening and have a safe evening, and see you later. Bye.